June 30th, 2022, the day Kevin Durant formally requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. That day was absolutely insane as Kevin Durant once again set off a nuclear bomb on the NBA universe.
Let's eat! Oops!
And immediately after this happening, basically every NBA fan base was coming with fake trades, jersey swaps, and wanting KD to join their team. But after the initial chaos and the dust had settled, there were really only 5 teams that had a legit shot of getting KD, that being the Suns, the Heat, Boston, Philly, as well as Toronto. Those 5 teams right there all had legit trade packages to acquire Kevin Wayne Durant. And fast forward to the present, despite all the trade rumors and requests, Kevin Durant still is technically a Brooklyn Net. And up until a couple of days ago, the most optimistic Nets fan, they could rationalize having KD and Kyrie for at most the 2023 season. But as you guys know, KD once again dropped a bomb and lit the NBA universe on fire for the second time in 2 months. As in a meeting with Nets management and Joe Tsai, he gave him an ultimatum: it's either me or Steve Nash and Sean Marks. To some NBA fans, that move seems very brash as well as straightforward, but I think KD's overall intent is a little more savvy. As given this ultimatum, he knew Joe Tsai's answer was going to be a big fat no. So why KD actually did this is pretty simple. He wanted to make it known to the public he wants no connection with Steve Nash or Sean Marks or the Nets organization in general, and playing with him in 2023 is simply not happening. At its core, this move was KD doubling down on being traded and wanting out of Brooklyn, no more, no less.
I just would like to say to all of you, kiss my ass, you rotten.
And of course, when it comes to NBA fans, they're always very harsh on Kevin Durant, especially after these latest moves. And in my lifetime, I don't think I've ever seen a player with a lower approval rating than Kevin Durant. Because in Brooklyn, he quite literally got everything he wanted and had the organization on their knees 24/7. Despite Brooklyn doing everything he wanted bending over backwards, Kevin Durant still said this was not enough, and he's calling it quits and giving up on them. He got DeAndre Jordan, he got Kyrie, he fired Kenny Atkinson, he got Steve Nash, he got James Harden on his team, then he got him off.
I'm at $13,000 a month. What more do you want from me?
And one thing I do want to note, KD and Kyrie single-handedly have killed the player empowerment era. As once again in Brooklyn, they got everything they wanted and still were unhappy, and at the end of the day, didn't want to play for the team. Going forward, GMs and owners, they're going to be ruthless, as once again these players are ruthless in their own right, building up teams, tearing them apart, rebuilding them, and then leaving before their contract's up. And looking at me personally, I've been very critical of Kevin Durant, his overall moves this year, his hypocrisy, even how he played in the playoffs versus Boston. But even with all that being said, I would still want him on my team at the end of the day, because talent is at a premium for NBA teams trying to win championships. And at this point, a Kevin Durant trade, it's inevitable, and the team I think that'll get him is indeed the Boston Celtics. As in Boston, they have a young star in Jaylen Brown, who's very, very valuable. They have role players who are proven in the playoffs, as well as draft picks for the foreseeable future. For a mega blockbuster deal trade, Boston checks all 3 boxes: raw talent, good role players, as well as decent assets for the future. Now, where it gets complicated is trading Jaylen Brown, an integral piece of your team, as JB this year in the finals was Boston's best player with them up 2-1 on Golden State. And looking at Kevin Durant purely, the upside of him going to Boston, he goes to an organization that's proven and is a GM who's actually competent. And looking at their roster, they're still one of the best defensive teams in the entire NBA, with a coach in Ime who in his own right is a young superstar. And speaking of superstars, if KD goes to Boston, he's paired with Jason Tatum, a borderline top 10 player. Now looking at Tatum as a two-way player on offense and defense, he can carry way more of a burden than someone like Kyrie or even James Harden. and as a scoring wing duo, the pairing of KD and Tatum could possibly be the best in NBA history. Now, the downside to getting Kevin Durant, if you acquire him, your championship window is only 3 years. And essentially, you're trading your future for maxing out 3 years with an NBA superstar. And I do want to make one thing very clear, KD at this point is 34 and has major injury history. And in Boston, if he doesn't win a title, that's a massive, massive failure. And it would once again prove Kevin Durant, without Steph Curry, cannot win a title. The bottom line is, both Boston and KD making this deal would have massive stakes for the franchise as well as the player. Basically, this trade is like Kawhi going to Toronto, except for KD, he has 2 extra years, and for Boston, it's not nearly as risky. And legacy-wise, looking at Kevin Durant, if he goes to Boston, for the second time in his career, he'd be joining a team he lost to the previous year. In the short term, that'd be a massive hit and a meme to his overall career. But if he wins in Boston, bringing him a championship, getting banner number 18 would wash away all that in Celtics fans' eyes.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
And if he does win a chip in Boston, I think KD will be the greatest bounty hunter in NBA history. Because at this point, he's basically John Wick, a hired assassin who joins teams that are already established and borderline great without him. But when you call him the easy money sniper, he takes you over the top and truly makes you a great NBA team. And also, one thing I do want to touch on, still looking at KD's legacy, what team can he truly say was his home and that was his team? In Oklahoma City, he left in disgrace, and Westbrook is the greatest player in franchise history. Looking at Golden State, yes, he won 2 championships, but for both those teams, Steph Curry, that was his city and his squad. Looking at Brooklyn, he came with tons of hype, but ultimately underperformed and left in disgrace. And if he goes to Boston, once again, he'd be a bounty hunter and a hired gun to get that 18th banner. I really don't know which NBA team KD can say is his team and his quote-unquote home that reps him. And look, once again, I'm a Boston fan, and I root for the Celtics. And I think out of the fan base, I'm definitely the minority saying I want KD in the green and white. I know trading Jaylen Brown, that would break a lot of people's hearts, but getting Kevin Durant, that raises your ceiling and truly makes you the favorite to win it all. It's a very, very short window, but if you get 1, maybe 2 championships, this move would definitely be worth it. So with that final point we made, that is the end of the video. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.